Greetings guys, today we're starting a new project. And no, this time it's not a G-Wagon, which we often build as 6x6, 4x4, or XLP pickups. This time we're working on another very cool, loud and beautiful project. It's a replica of the 1955 Mercedes SL300. Mercedes Gullwing, or sometimes called Gullwing. Please correct me if I pronounced it wrong somewhere. So the original car cost between 1.6 to 2 million euros. That's after restoration, in perfect condition. But I think it's unlikely you could actually drive, ride, or travel in such an old car because, well, it's from 1955. No matter how you look at it, it's a very old vehicle and not very reliable. Well, in our case, this car won't have the same value, like 1.5 or $2 million. But it will be based on a relatively modern donor from 2002. It's the most powerful in its lineup, with a 3.5-liter V6 engine, a supercharger on top, and 355 horsepower. I think this car is very lightweight, probably around 1,200 or maybe 1,300 kilograms, so it has excellent dynamics. Plus, it's relatively modern. In future similar projects, I think we'll go for even newer donors. Maybe from 2015 or even 2020, also an SLK. That way you can build your dream car in terms of appearance, but on the inside it will be modern and reliable. You'll be able to drive it anywhere, to any country or any exhibition, and be confident that nothing will break down or stall like it might with the original 1955 model. Let's take a look at our donor car from all sides, and then we'll continue the discussion.
Caution, content's hot. You got to give me all you got. Caution, content's hot. You got to give me all you got.
So guys, here's the donor car we brought in from Europe for the conversion into an SL300. Here's how it's going to work. We'll completely disassemble the exterior of this car, and on top, we'll install a fiberglass SL300 body. Now, about the body itself, I've been researching this for about 2 years, checking out who sells kits and so on. Most of these fiberglass bodies are handmade and not as high quality as I would like. After working on the Citroën Jet we're building, which we still haven't finished yet, though a new episode on it is coming soon, I've become very cautious about poor quality bodies. The Citroën is already running on its engine. The steering wheel is properly on the left side and so on. But more about that in the next video. Back to this project, after spending over 2 years on this, I found a body that was molded directly from the original. It includes all the openings, the inner door panels, the interior of the hood, the trunk, and even the window frames. Basically, the most accurate body you can get. It was very expensive, but we bought it for this project. Let me show it to you. Yes, the body we have is truly amazing. We've already made a mold from it because I believe this won't be the only project of this kind we'll do. Plus, we'll be selling these bodies to our clients as well. But the body is just the beginning. There's still a lot more to it. The donor car and the body, yes, but also many other parts. Chrome pieces, bumpers, grills, door frames, handles, locks, and so on. Over the course of a few months, we managed to purchase all of that too. The market, however, is heavily saturated with resellers, but we managed to connect directly with manufacturers of the highest quality parts. And as of today, we've practically bought everything we need. Some parts are still on the way. My client has already installed a steering wheel here, and it seems like he wants it to stay. But honestly, I'm going to strongly persuade him to install a steering wheel like the one in the original. Nowadays, there are companies that produce perfect replicas of the original steering wheel. It even tilts to make it easier to get in and out of the car. This is important because the door sill on the SL300 will be very high. We're used to low sills, but with the SL300, it'll be quite tall, making it less convenient to get out compared to this donor car. It unclips, tilts upward, and allows for easy exit. I'll definitely be discussing this with him. As you've probably guessed, this project will be done with the highest quality and fully in line with the original. We'll also replace the seats with small, short ones to match the original style. In general, everything will look beautiful. Now let me show you the parts that have already arrived, which will soon also be available on our website along with the body kit. The first car, I think, won't be built as quickly as you or I would like. After all, this is our first project of this kind, and everything needs to be done carefully and without mistakes. It has to be of the highest quality, just as our client expects, especially since this is one of our regular clients. As for the parts you've seen, we're still missing quite a few small details, including the glass. We'll be manufacturing the glass here in Ukraine. We work with factories that understand our approach, and we know exactly what they need to make everything properly. You might be wondering how much a replica like this will cost. In the US, I know they sell for anywhere between $250,000 to $500,000. I've seen a couple of cars priced at $500,000. Those were built on newer, more powerful cars, and were extremely well done, with everything matching the original. The dashboard, the entire interior, everything is redone, which is exactly what we plan to do with this project as well. So that's everything I wanted to show and tell you about this project for now. Now we're moving the car into the workshop and starting the disassembly process. And after some time, I can show you what we've achieved. We've completed all the most challenging tasks, but not entirely. Let's take a look. Yes, guys, I already know what you're going to comment after seeing the first shots of the car. I've already been told the same thing on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, that the wheels are ugly and the car needs to be lower. Of course, it will be lower because right now it's empty. There's no interior, no fuel tank, and many other things are missing. But even if it does need to be lowered further, trust me, we'll make it happen. However, I'm confident that on its factory suspension, it will sit just the way we want it to. As for the wheels, they will be 17 inches, exactly like the original, except the original ones are 15 inches. We went with 17 because anything smaller wouldn't fit here. This car has massive brakes since it's an AMG 32 with 355 horsepower. Also, I made a mistake earlier when I said the engine displacement was 3.5 liters. In reality, it's 3.2. The wheels were custom made for us, forged aluminum. The rear wheels are 9 inches wide, and the front ones are 8 inches. Our client, and I as well, really wanted to create something beautiful with this project. What other changes will there be to the exterior of this project? For starters, you've probably noticed the front grille. Right now, all the radiators are exposed, and there's also an intercooler like on turbocharged cars because we have a supercharger here. We'll install a mesh there, not too fine, to ensure good airflow. The original car has a similar mesh, so we'll do the same. As for the mirror, the original has just one. But these days, driving with just one small mirror isn't really practical. So at the very least, we'll add a second mirror, identical to the original. I've already mentioned that the rims will be amazing, gorgeous chrome wheels. The hubcap and rim will be chrome as well. And of course, the car will sit lower, but that will happen a bit later once we've fully assembled the interior, trunk, and engine bay. You've probably also noticed that there's plywood in place of the windows right now. That's a template we created for the glass manufacturer. We've made the templates in a mold, or as they call it, a metal frame, to give the proper curvature. All the window sills are completely original. A chrome molding will be inserted here in the center. We already have it, but we didn't want to scratch it unnecessarily, so we just measured everything to make sure it fits. Everything's perfect, and now we can proceed with manufacturing. As for the glass, the front and rear windows will be made of laminated safety glass, triplex, for added safety. The side windows will be tempered glass. But the most interesting part is that they will have a dual curvature. This kind of glass isn't made in Ukraine, so we'll have to turn to foreign manufacturers for it. These frames, guys, just so you understand, are incredibly expensive parts. Some people sell them for $8,000, others for $6,000 or $5,000 anyway. They're very costly, and they still need to be sent for chroming to make them look beautiful and nickel-plated, just like the lower moldings, grills, and our bumpers. All of this will be done. We've adjusted the original seals and the dimensions are completely authentic. This window, just like in the original, will be removable and can be placed in the trunk if it gets too hot. This other window will pivot, similar to the ones in Zhiguli cars, allowing you to control the airflow, a sort of natural air conditioner. As for the door, everything here is pretty straightforward. We've kept it all as close to the original as possible. The door handle and lock work exactly like they did in the factory model from 1955. To open it, you press this lever, pull upwards, and the door lifts open. This handle is also very expensive. If anyone thinks, how can such a car cost so much? I assure you, this is an extremely costly project. Everything here is very expensive. For example, the bumpers, though I can't say the exact price right now, cost around $2,500. The grille is about $1,500. The handles, if I'm not mistaken, are around $2,500 to $3,000 or maybe even more. I've mentioned the price of these frames before, more or less, and there are a lot of different parts here. This grill, for example, also needs to be sent for chroming, and it costs a lot of money. The lower moldings are expensive too. As for this grill, we made it ourselves, but buying one is also very pricey, several $1,000s. Basically, anything you touch here, like the seals, the rubber gaskets for the openings, we bought everything original, and it all costs a decent amount. As for what we've changed on this side, we've installed airlifters, pneumatic shock absorbers as they call them. We've put them here on this side. On the other side, we have chrome pipes just like the original, with springs inside, just like they were made in 1955. What's good about these is that they work quietly. You hear that, right? The door closes quietly. No sound at all. Just a slight hiss as they're supposed to work. Now let me show you how the original ones work on the other side. Let's listen to how the doors work on this side. Hear how the springs creak? They even get a bit stuck sometimes. Well, we decided to leave it this way. I consulted with our client, and he said, "Alex, make it look beautiful." Although we're going to try fitting these pipes onto the pneumatic shock absorbers. Hopefully we'll manage, and everything will be just like the original, quiet and smooth. Now let me also tell you a bit about the rear part. These openings on top, originally they were air vents that open when you close the doors, if I'm not mistaken. They're direct holes into the cabin, so you can literally look through and see inside. In our case, we'll be using covers that will paint black. They'll just be a cosmetic feature, because leaving them open in today's world is not an option. When you wash the car at any car wash, everything just gets into the cabin. The rear bumper we have is identical to the original. The rear lights are exactly the same, and there will be license plate lighting. We also have these two small fangs that extend. They are sometimes present on the original as well, with additional lighting on the sides. We've positioned the bumper, both front and rear, a bit closer to the body compared to the original. On the original, the gap is probably around 3 fingers wide, maybe even more, which looks very unattractive. For an old car, that might be acceptable, but for modern cars, it's quite embarrassing. So we've adjusted it to sit closer to the body. I think our client won't be disappointed. The emblem we have is identical to the original Mercedes, but it doesn't perfectly follow the curve, so it needs some adjustment. Here we have lettering that we can't show because we're not building an original car. The trunk lock is exactly the same as the original. You can see it's closed now. You turn the key and it clicks open. The prop rod is exactly like the original. Just prop it up and the trunk works beautifully, just like the original. We've installed the fuel tank. The filler neck will be welded in here. Everything here is reinforced because the trunk is slightly longer than it was on the donor car. The rear section has been extended a bit, while the front remains exactly the same. The width is more or less the same as the donor. Overall, this car in person is actually quite compact, but it has incredibly unique shapes. All the trunk hinges and door hinges. Well, we initially bought the door hinges, but to be honest, they turned out to be junk. They were very weak. So we threw them out and made our own, thicker and more reinforced. Basically, we wasted money on the purchased hinges and then had to spend time making new ones. But now they're truly strong and sturdy, with no play, and the gaps don't shift. When you install door shocks, weak hinges will mess up all the gaps. In our case, everything is solid and properly aligned now. And of course, our exhaust system, an AMG car, though this one is completely stock. The track is there, and the catalytic converters are in place, so there's not much sound. But nonetheless, we made the rear pipe section just like the original. Right here, we crafted a hidden detail, one-to-one exactly as it should be. Now, a few words about the safety of our bodywork. It's made of fiberglass. You might think, oh no, it's thin, fragile, and so on. But I can step onto any part of it, on the hood, the fender, or the roof. I'm confident that nothing will happen to it at all. That's the advantage of fiberglass. Of course, all of it is mounted onto a special metal frame. There are reinforcements at the front, in the sills, and so on. In case of an accident, the car remains entirely factory built. We didn't cut off the front part at all. It absorbs impact like a factory car, but with the addition of our reinforcements. This makes the front section even stronger than it originally was on the donor car. On the sides, we also have reinforcements, so there's absolutely no need to worry about that. As for the roof, the front pillars here are quite narrow. Ideally, I'd want to insert a strong pipe or a square profile and bond it into the pillar. However, after discussing it with the client, they didn't want anything sticking out or looking different from the original design. Still, we did insert a pipe, although not as robust as I would have preferred. That's regarding the front pillar. In the middle and at the back, there are two pillars with very strong reinforcements. If, heaven forbid, the car were to roll over, the roof wouldn't collapse. So don't think it's just plastic that could give way under a bit of weight. Everything is reinforced with a frame and integrated into the factory metal body. It's all been done properly and thoughtfully. The doors might seem straightforward, but there's more to them than meets the eye. They are double-sided with an interior side as well. Inside, there's also a metal frame, because leaving fiberglass without reinforcement is simply not an option. Fiberglass can shift slightly under different temperatures, and trust me, I know what I'm talking about. We've been working with this material for 16 or even 17 years now, and we've built many different replicas. I understand fiberglass and how to work with it. As for the rear section, everything there is done similarly to the front. The rear frame rails were slightly extended, and a special frame was added. This ensures that if someone were to hit the rear end, it wouldn't collapse all the way to the doors. Everything back there is properly reinforced. You've already seen the doors. They open just like the original. Here we have the factory cable and latch, straight from the donor car. The hood is mounted on two hinges and lifts in the same direction as the original. We have a support rod with a special slot where it's inserted, keeping the hood securely in place. Of course, the hood also has a metal frame to ensure it holds its shape at all times. Under the hood, everything is completely factory-made. We've only moved a few components slightly, lowered them here, tilted them there, and so on. But nothing was cut, no wires were spliced, and no compressors were modified. Everything is as I prefer it, and as you like it too. That means all maintenance can be done just like on the original factory car. Well, we made it to the interior, so let me tell you what we've got planned. Basically, we want to replicate everything as close to the original as possible. The seats are already installed, and we've also set up the seat mechanisms that will move, so it feels like a fully functional car. As you can see, the dashboard is already in place. We've adjusted it and made the mounts. The steering wheel is temporary for now because it sticks out quite a bit, and honestly, it doesn't fit very well. Although, to be fair, some Mercedes SL300 models did come with a steering wheel like this. It's some kind of tuning from a company, though I'm not sure which one. Any day now, we're expecting all these instruments, switches, levers, and everything else just like the original. Of course, this stuff costs a lot of money, but let me say it again. Building a car like this requires serious funds. If someone thinks they can build a car like this with $20,000, they're very mistaken. There's really nothing else to show in the interior for now. Once everything arrives, follow me on Instagram. I'll show everything in more detail. What's arrived, what we've bought, and what we're planning to do. I'll put my Instagram here. Subscribe. Facebook, TikTok, whatever you're using, follow along. In the back, we're planning to finish everything just like the original and place some suitcases here. Overall, it should turn out beautifully. The color of the leather is still being decided by the client. We're trying to replicate everything one-to-one with that Mercedes that costs $3.5 or even $6 million. So guys, this is how our Mercedes has turned out. In my opinion, everything has been done very, very well. It's going to be a fully functional and proper car, not some kind of DIY project. Projects like this are done all over the world. I even did a bit of research because we had a situation where, underneath the front apron, well, under the bumper to be precise, the radiator was sticking out too much. For us, that was unacceptable. But I noticed that in similar projects around the world, people don't bother with it much. Most of the time, the radiators stick out just like that, slightly covered by the bumper, and that's it. About the safety frame, no one else goes to the lengths we did. Usually they just attach the body, secure it, and that's it. The car is ready to go. And maybe that's the right approach. Faster, and in 4, 5, or 6 months, you've got a beautiful, decent, stylish car. But in our case, whether it's good or bad, we put a lot of effort into ensuring safety. We wanted everything to be sturdy and reliable. Once again, I'll emphasize, this is going to be a fully functional car. Whether this is good or bad, let us know in the comments. For us, it's probably not so great, but for you, our clients, it's likely amazing because our projects tend to take longer than both you and we would like. Also, a quick reminder to check out our store, where you can buy various body kits and carbon fiber parts. Let me remind you that the 6x6 pickup body kit, the very same Mercedes, is already available for purchase, along with many other interesting items for DIY builds. With every kit you purchase from us, we provide a video guide for your project, and of course, I'll leave a link to our website in the description. To follow our project in more detail, make sure to subscribe to our social media accounts. I'll also leave links to them in the description. Very soon, I'll be presenting a new project on YouTube. It's going to be just as exciting, if not more exciting, than this Mercedes. I've already shown a sneak peek of this project on our social media, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. Bye, guys.